Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into Cheating Tales Lab. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know, what part of the world are you watching from right now? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story. The fluorescent lights of Stark Industries' shipping department buzzed overhead as Isaac Lucas double-checked the manifest against the day's final shipment. His weathered clipboard bore the scars of 7 years' worth of careful inspections, each mark a testament to his methodical nature. The midnight shift was winding down, but he maintained the same sharp focus he'd had 12 hours earlier. "Hey boss, you want us to wait?" Marco called from the loading dock, keys jingling in his hand. The rest of the crew had already clocked out, their footsteps echoing across the concrete floor. Isaac shook his head, pen moving steadily across the paper. "Head on home. I'll lock up once I verify these numbers." "You're gonna work yourself to death one of these days," Marco chuckled, but there was respect in his voice. "The wife must be missing you." A shadow crossed Isaac's face, but his hand never stopped moving. "Some things are worth the extra effort. Get some rest, Marco." Once alone, Isaac moved through the rows of shelves with practiced efficiency. His hands, calloused from years of manual labor before his promotion to supervisor, traced the edges of boxes as he counted. Each step was purposeful, each notation precise. He'd built his reputation on this attention to detail, climbing from entry-level loader to the youngest supervisor in department history. The main office door creaked open, cutting through the warehouse silence. Isaac looked up to see Sam Stark himself striding across the floor, Italian leather shoes clicking against concrete. The CEO's presence at this hour was unusual enough to raise Isaac's guard. "Still here, Lucas?" Stark's voice carried the casual arrogance of old money. "Dedication like yours is rare these days. Just finishing up the Johnson and Mitchell shipment, sir." Isaac maintained eye contact, his stance solid. "They're particular about their inventory counts." Stark nodded, running a manicured hand along one of the sealed boxes. "Good man. Always did admire how you started from nothing. Reminds me of myself, in a way." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Though I moved up rather more quickly, of course. We all find our own path, Mr. Stark." Isaac's tone remained professional, but there was steel beneath the courtesy. "Indeed we do." Stark checked his Rolex, a gesture that seemed more habit than necessity. "Give my best to that lovely wife of yours. Christy, isn't it? She made quite an impression at last month's company picnic." Something in Stark's tone made Isaac's jaw tighten, but he merely nodded. "I'll do that, sir." After Stark left, Isaac completed his final checks with military precision. The numbers aligned perfectly, as they always did. He gathered his worn leather briefcase, a wedding gift from Christy's parents, delivered with barely concealed disappointment, and headed for the parking lot. His 10-year-old sedan sat alone in the employee section, a stark contrast to Stark's Mercedes still gleaming in the executive spaces. Isaac didn't spare it a second glance. He'd learned early that envy was a waste of energy better spent on progress. The drive home took him through the wealthy district where the executives lived. He'd made this route countless times, watching the houses grow more elaborate each year as Stark Industries' profits soared. His own apartment lay in the opposite direction, in a neighborhood that hadn't seen renovation since he and Christy had moved in as newlyweds. The lights were still on when he pulled into his assigned spot. Through the second-floor window, he could see Christy's silhouette pacing. She used to wait up with dinner and conversation, eager to hear about his day. Lately, her waiting had taken on a different tone. Isaac squared his shoulders and climbed the stairs. The door's hinges needed oil, another item on his endless to-do list. The apartment smelled of expensive perfume, a recent addition to Christy's growing collection of luxury items. "Another late shift?" Christy's voice cut through the silence. She sat at their small dining table, her designer blouse a jarring contrast to the modest furnishings. The receipt for it was probably hidden in the same drawer as her other recent splurges. "Big shipment." Isaac set his briefcase down carefully. Sam Stark came down to check on the progress. "Oh, how exciting." The mockery in her tone was sharp enough to draw blood. "My husband got to see the CEO. Did you bow properly?" Isaac studied his wife's face, still beautiful, but harder now. The community college student who'd once shared his dreams of building something meaningful had been replaced by someone he struggled to recognize. "I did my job," he said simply. "Same as always." "Same as always," Christy echoed, standing abruptly. "That's the problem, isn't it? 7 years in that warehouse, and what do we have to show for it? A 2-bedroom apartment and discount store clothes, while people like Sam Stark live in mansions." "We have each other," Isaac said quietly. "That used to be enough." Christy laughed, but it wasn't the warm sound he remembered from their early days. "We were kids then. Dreams don't pay bills or buy the life I deserve." Isaac watched her storm off to their bedroom, the door closing with deliberate softness. Her anger was always precisely controlled these days. He moved to the kitchen, noting the empty wine glass by the sink and the unfamiliar number that flashed briefly on her phone screen before she snatched it away. Later, lying awake in bed, Isaac listened to Christy's measured breathing and thought about Sam Stark's smirk, about the way his wife's eyes had lit up at the mention of his name. He thought about 7 years of early mornings and late nights, of counting other people's profits and watching other men's empires grow. His hand found the business course brochure hidden in his nightstand drawer. Tomorrow was another 12-hour shift, another day of building someone else's dream. But tonight, in the quiet darkness, Isaac Lucas began to plan. Monday morning's management meeting dragged as Isaac reviewed shipping reports with the department heads. His mind wandered to the changes at home over the past 3 months. The empty hangers in their shared closet had gradually filled with clothes bearing tags he'd never seen at the local mall. The scent of a new perfume lingered in their bedroom, its price tag conveniently missing from her dresser. "We should wrap this up," Barbara from accounting interrupted his thoughts. "The quarterly budget review with Mr. Stark starts in 5 minutes. Isaac gathered his papers, noting how Barbara's expression soured at the mention of their CEO. She'd been with the company for 20 years, watching it transform under Sam Stark's leadership from his father's respectable manufacturing business into a gleaming corporate machine. "He's been spending a lot of time in the office lately," Barbara remarked, falling into step beside Isaac. "Usually by now, he'd be off on that yacht of his." "Dedicated leadership," Isaac replied neutrally, though his mind flashed to Christie's recent interest in corporate gossip. Just last week, she'd asked pointed questions about executive schedules and meeting locations, information she'd never cared about before. The elevator ride to the executive floor was silent. Isaac used the time to study his reflection in the polished doors. His navy suit, while not designer, was well-tailored and professional. He'd learned early that appearance mattered in corporate politics, even in middle management. Mr. Lucas, Flora Stevens, the company's CFO, nodded as he entered the conference room. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s who'd survived 3 decades of corporate politics through sheer competence. "Your department's numbers are impressive this quarter. Perhaps you could walk us through the efficiency improvements." Before Isaac could respond, the door opened. Sam Stark swept in, his presence immediately commanding attention. But it was the figure behind him that caught Isaac's eye. Christy, dressed in an outfit that probably cost more than his monthly salary. "Hope you don't mind if my guest sits in," Stark announced rather than asked. "Mrs. Lucas has shown quite an interest in our operations." The room temperature seemed to drop. Flora's eyebrows rose fractionally as she assessed the situation. Barbara's knuckles whitened around her pen. "What a surprise," Isaac managed, his voice steady despite the acid churning in his stomach. Christy didn't meet his eyes as she took a seat at the far end of the table. The meeting proceeded like a carefully choreographed dance of numbers and projections. Isaac delivered his report methodically, aware of every glance exchanged between his wife and his boss. The way Stark leaned closer to hear her whispered comments. The familiar way she touched his arm when laughing at his jokes. "Excellent work as always, Lucas," Stark concluded, his smile razor-sharp. "Your attention to detail is remarkable. Nothing escapes your notice, does it?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Or a threat. "I've found that details matter, Mr. Stark," Isaac replied, matching his tone. "They tell you everything you need to know, if you're paying attention." Flora cleared her throat. "Speaking of details, shall we discuss the Anderson contract?" The meeting stretched another hour. Isaac watched as Christy effortlessly navigated conversations about business matters she shouldn't have known about. She dropped names of clients and referenced confidential deals with the ease of someone who'd been privy to private discussions. When the room finally emptied, Isaac lingered, organizing his papers with deliberate slowness. Stark's hand found the small of Christie's back as they exited, the gesture both possessive and taunting. That was quite a show, Flora commented once they were alone. Her voice carried decades of seen-it-all weariness. Indeed it was. Isaac's fingers pressed into the leather of his portfolio until his knuckles turned white. You know, Sam wasn't always like this, Flora continued, gathering her things. Success changes people. Usually shows who they really were all along. She paused at the door. Your quarterly report really was exceptional, Mr. Lucas. You have a mind for strategy that's being wasted in shipping. Isaac nodded, accepting both the compliment and the underlying message. Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. I've always believed in making the most of every opportunity. Later that afternoon, Isaac stood at his office window, watching the parking lot. He saw Christie emerge from the building, checking her surroundings before sliding into Stark's Mercedes. The car purred to life, carrying them toward the exclusive part of town where high-rise apartments offered discreet arrangements for wealthy men and their companions. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. The message contained a single photo, Christie entering one of those same high-rises last week, Stark's arm around her waist. Below it was a note. Thought you should know. Not everyone here admires our CEO's methods. Isaac saved the number without responding. He'd suspected for weeks, had seen the signs building like storm clouds on the horizon. Now that confirmation had arrived, he felt oddly calm. The hurt was there, a deep, cold rage, but something else burned alongside it, determination. He opened his computer and pulled up the business course registration page he'd been considering. The deadline for the next semester was approaching. As he filled out the application, his wedding ring caught the afternoon light. Isaac paused, then slowly removed it, placing it in his desk drawer next to the photo. The ring would serve as a reminder, not of love lost, but of lessons learned. Some men might crumble under such betrayal. Others might lash out immediately, sacrificing strategy for satisfaction. But Isaac Lucas had spent 7 years learning patience, understanding systems, and recognizing opportunities. He typed the final details into his application, then opened a new browser tab. It was time to research corporate law firms, specifically one specializing in hostile takeovers. The annual Stark Industries Gala transformed the Grand Plaza Hotel's ballroom into a monument to corporate success. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across marble floors, while string quartet music drifted through conversations about profit margins and market expansions. Isaac adjusted his newly purchased suit, a significant investment from his savings, but necessary for the evening. He'd arrived alone, the divorce papers having been delivered to his desk that morning in a manila envelope marked confidential. The timing hadn't been accidental. Quite the spectacle, isn't it? Flora Stevens appeared beside him, champagne flute in hand. Though I preferred the old days when we celebrated actual achievements, not just stock prices. The market rewards perception as much as performance, Isaac replied, scanning the room. He'd spent the past month studying investment reports and business journals, learning the language of power. Indeed it does. Flora followed his gaze to where Sam Stark held court near the stage, Christie radiant at his side in a red dress that cost more than their first car. Though perception has a way of shifting, especially in our industry. Before Isaac could respond, Clint Hooper, the company's lead counsel, joined their small circle. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes were sharp behind designer frames. Lucas, he nodded. Interesting reading material crossed my desk this morning. Rather aggressive terms for a simple dissolution. I believe in being thorough, Isaac said, taking a measured sip of his whiskey. Every transaction should be properly documented. Clint's lips twitched. Indeed. Speaking of documentation, I've been reviewing some interesting irregularities in our recent acquisitions. Perhaps we could discuss them sometime. The string quartet transitioned to a new piece as Sam Stark tapped his glass for attention. The crowd hushed, anticipating the CEO's annual address. Isaac noticed several of his warehouse staff clustered near the back, their rented suits marking them as outsiders in this glittering assembly. Friends, colleagues, Fellow architects of success, Stark began, his voice carrying the practiced charm of inherited privilege. Tonight we celebrate another record year. Our stock has never been higher, our future never brighter. Applause rippled through the crowd. Stark raised his hand for silence, his gold cufflinks catching the light. But success isn't just about numbers. It's about people, about recognizing and rewarding excellence. His smile turned predatory as he spotted Isaac. About understanding your true worth in the market. Christy stepped forward then, her diamond bracelet, a recent gift, flashing like a signal mirror. Some of us, she announced, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, have finally learned to recognize real success. A few nervous laughs scattered through the crowd. Flora's hand tightened around her glass. Near the back, Marco and the other warehouse workers shifted uncomfortably. Isaac, Christy continued, her words precise and practiced. I want to thank you for making this transition so smooth. I deserve luxury, not that pathetic life you offered. Do you know what Sam makes in a day? More than you make in a year. The silence deepened. Isaac felt every eye in the room studying his reaction. He kept his expression neutral, even as his mind cataloged each face, each reaction, each potential ally or obstacle in what was to come. My parents were right, Christy pressed on, encouraged by Stark's approving smirk. I should have never settled for someone from your background. All those years waiting for you to become something more than a glorified package counter. Careful, Flora murmured. But Isaac had already set his glass down and stepped forward. Thank you, Christy, he said, his voice carrying the same quiet authority that had earned him respect in the warehouse. You've made everything very clear. Now, Lucas, Stark interjected, moving to center stage. No need for dramatics. You can keep your job. Consider it a parting gift. He wrapped an arm around Christy's waist. After all, we believe in rewarding loyalty. The mockery in his tone stirred murmurs through the crowd. But it was the flash of disgust on Flora's face, the calculating look in Clint's eyes, and the anger radiating from his warehouse crew that Isaac noted. Your generosity is noted, Mr. Stark. Isaac's response was measured, professional. Though I've learned that loyalty, like stock options, should be carefully invested, he turned and walked toward the exit, his steps unhurried. Behind him, conversations resumed, but with a different tenor. He caught fragments of whispered discussions about Stark's arrogance, about Christy's cruelty, about the dignity of a man they'd overlooked. Lucas, Flora called after him. My office, Monday morning. I believe we have some matters to discuss. Count me in on that meeting, Clint added, his legal mind already spinning possibilities. In the hotel lobby, Marco and several warehouse workers waited. Their loyalty wasn't to Stark Industries, but to the supervisor who'd treated them with respect. Boss, Marco started, but Isaac raised a hand. Monday will be business as usual, he stated, though I may need some help with extra inventory reviews in the coming months. Very detailed reviews. Understanding passed between them. In the shipping department, everything left a paper trail. Outside, the city lights painted patterns across gleaming skyscrapers. Isaac loosened his tie and pulled out his phone. He had 3 missed calls from Gerardo Brandt, an investment banker known for orchestrating corporate takeovers. They had met at a business seminar last month, and Gerardo had expressed particular interest in Stark Industries' vulnerabilities. Time to return that call. In his car, Isaac found the envelope he'd received that morning. He opened it again, studying the divorce papers with new eyes. Christie's signature was there, alongside Stark's personal lawyer's notarization. They'd thought these papers would break him, humiliate him. Instead, they had freed him. He started the engine, but didn't head home. Instead, he drove toward the business district, where late-night consulting firms helped craft corporate strategies. He had a warehouse worker's savings and a supervisor's salary, but also 7 years of accumulated knowledge about Stark Industries operations. More importantly, he had a clear purpose now. Success, he'd learned, wasn't just about money or power. Sometimes, it was about patience, precision, and the perfect moment to strike. The divorce papers would hit the headlines tomorrow. In 3 months, society pages would announce Christie's engagement to Sam Stark. But by then, Isaac's plans would already be in motion. After all, the best revenge wasn't swift or emotional. It was methodical, strategic, and absolute. The evening business administration class buzzed with tired professionals seeking advancement. Isaac sat in the front row, absorbing every word about corporate finance and market dynamics. His notebook contained precise annotations, and not just about the lecture, but about how each concept could apply to Stark Industries' operations. "Mr. Lucas," Professor Chen called out, "your analysis of the Berkman case study was particularly insightful. Would you share your thoughts on their acquisition strategy?" Isaac stood, conscious of his warehouse uniform. He'd come straight from his shift, unwilling to waste time changing. Their fatal flaw was visibility. They telegraphed every move, allowing the target company to fortify its position. A successful takeover requires discretion and precise timing. Several students turned to look at him with newfound interest. Among them was Gerardo Brandt, an investment banker whose designer suit couldn't hide his predatory attention. After class, Gerardo approached Isaac's desk. "Interesting perspective on Berkman. Most people focus on the numbers, not the strategy." "Numbers without strategy are just statistics," Isaac replied, organizing his notes. "Strategy without knowledge is just gambling." Speaking of knowledge, Gerardo pulled out his business card. "Word is Stark Industries is planning some aggressive expansions, the kind that could leave them exposed." Isaac pocketed the card without comment. Knowledge is valuable, but timing is everything. Back at Stark Industries, Isaac's days took on a new rhythm. His shipping department ran with military precision, but his attention extended far beyond inventory counts. "Flora," he caught the CFO one evening as she left her office. "I noticed some discrepancies in the Q3 shipping costs. Mind if I review the full financial reports?" Flora Stevens studied him over her reading glasses. "Curious about more than just shipping these days, aren't you?" "Knowledge is an investment," Isaac quoted his professor. "One that always pays returns." She gestured him inside her office. "You know, I watched Sam Stark's father build this company. Real manufacturing, real products. Sam's turned it into a shell game of market speculation and leveraged assets." Isaac noticed the bitterness in her voice. "Must be frustrating, seeing his decisions up close." "Frustrating?" Flora pulled out a thick binder of financial reports. "Try infuriating. Did you know he charged his wedding to Christy as a business expense? Called it a corporate rebranding event?" Isaac's expression didn't change at the mention of his ex-wife. "That seems like the kind of detail that should be properly documented." "Indeed." Flora's smile was razor-sharp. "Just like those late-night executive meetings at the Peninsula Hotel. All carefully logged in our expense reports." Over the next weeks, Isaac built his knowledge base methodically. During the day, he managed shipping operations with increasing efficiency. At night, he absorbed everything about corporate finance and business law. Clint Hooper, the company's legal counsel, became another regular contact. Their conversations always seemed to happen in quiet corners, away from curious eyes. "Interesting reading?" Clint nodded at the corporate law textbook on Isaac's desk one afternoon. "Just expanding my education," Isaac replied. "Though I'm particularly interested in shareholder rights and board responsibilities." "Fascinating subject." Clint settled into a chair. "You know, Sam's been making some questionable decisions lately. Mixing personal and corporate assets, bypassing board approval for certain expenditures. Sounds risky," Isaac commented, noting how Clint's eyes narrowed at certain documents on his desk. "Risk creates opportunity," Clint mused. "For those who know how to document it properly." The conversations with Flora and Clint became more frequent, more detailed. Isaac absorbed everything: financial weaknesses, legal vulnerabilities, procedural shortcuts that Stark had taken in his arrogance. One evening, after most employees had left, Flora called Isaac to her office. "You remind me of Sam 30 years ago," she said, sliding a file across her desk. "Before the money changed him, before he forgot what it meant to work." Isaac opened the file, finding detailed records of Sam's financial mismanagement. "This is quite comprehensive. I've been keeping records for years," Flora admitted, "waiting for someone with the intelligence to use them properly, and the motivation to do it right." Through the office window, Isaac could see Sam's new Ferrari pulling into the executive parking space. Christy emerged from the passenger side, draped in designer clothes that cost more than most employees' monthly salaries. Sometimes, Flora continued, watching his expression, the best revenge isn't just success. It's success achieved by exploiting every weakness your enemy's arrogance creates. Isaac closed the file carefully. I appreciate the insight, Flora, though I'm more interested in building something sustainable than seeking revenge. Of course, she smiled. That's exactly why you're the right person for this. You understand that real power isn't about flash and spectacle. It's about patience, precision, and knowing exactly where to strike. As Isaac left the office that night, he passed Sam and Christy in the lobby. They were arguing about some luxury purchase, their voices carrying across the marble floor. I deserve that vacation house, Christy demanded. You promised me the lifestyle I was meant for. Darling, the Aspen property is already in escrow, Sam replied, his tone condescending. We can't appear too aggressive with our spending right now. The board is watching. Isaac kept walking, his face neutral. But his mind was already calculating, combining Flora's financial insights with Clint's legal knowledge and his own growing understanding of corporate vulnerabilities. In his car, he pulled out Gerardo's business card. The time for learning was shifting to the time for action. But first, he needed to understand exactly how vulnerable Stark Industries' financial position really was. The next morning, his first call would be to Gerardo. The second would be to Professor Chin, asking for advanced reading recommendations in hostile takeover strategies. The newspaper on his passenger seat carried another society page photo of Sam and Christy at some charity gala. Isaac didn't even glance at it. He was focused on the business section, particularly the articles about market trends and corporate acquisitions. Success, he was learning, wasn't about quick victories or emotional satisfaction. It was about building a foundation so solid that when you finally made your move, your target wouldn't even see it coming until it was too late. Stark's leveraging the company at a dangerous level. Gerardo Brandt pointed at the financial projections spread across his office desk. The investment banker's sleek Manhattan office offered a stark contrast to Isaac's modest workspace. He's betting heavily on this Asian expansion, using company assets as collateral. Isaac studied the numbers, his business courses helping him decode the complex financial maneuvers. How exposed are they? Incredibly. Gerardo pulled up market analysis on his dual monitors. Stark's so focused on maintaining his image that he's ignoring basic market indicators. He's financing his lifestyle by over-leveraging company assets. Through the glass walls, Isaac watched traders scramble across the banking floor, their movements reminiscent of his warehouse workers. But here, they moved billions instead of boxes. What's your stake in this? Isaac asked directly. Investment bankers don't usually share this kind of intelligence without an angle. Gerardo's smile showed teeth. Let's say I've had unpleasant dealings with Stark in the past. He has a habit of burning bridges. Besides, he gestured at the market data. There's profit in correction. And your proposal? We start small. Shell companies, discrete stock purchases. I have investors who'd back a play against Stark, especially with inside knowledge of his vulnerabilities. Isaac's expression hardened. I don't deal in insider trading. No. Gerardo backpedaled smoothly. Everything legal and documented. We just time our moves strategically. Your position gives you legitimate access to company performance data. Data that suggests Stark Industries is overvalued. Over the next hour, they outlined a plan. Isaac would liquidate his assets, modest but carefully saved over years. Gerardo would connect him with investors who shared their vision of Stark's weakness. The apartment will be first, Isaac decided. It holds too many memories anyway. Sentiment is expensive in our business, Gerardo approved. But we'll need more capital. I have 7 years of stock options, Isaac revealed. Stark's generosity to long-term employees. Perfect. We'll time their sale with the market peaks. Back at Stark Industries, Isaac observed the growing signs of trouble through new eyes. Executive meetings ran longer. Stark's temper grew shorter. Christie's spending appeared more frequently in gossip magazines, each extravagance another crack in the foundation. The Shanghai deal's gone south, Flora informed him during one of their evening meetings. Sam's trying to cover it by shifting assets, but the board's getting nervous. How's morale in the executive suite? Isaac asked, noting details in his ever-present notebook. Tense. Christie's redecorating demands aren't helping. $50,000 for office furniture last week alone. Isaac made another note. Every expense, every complaint, every whispered worry became ammunition in his growing arsenal. Late one evening, he overheard Stark in the executive lounge, voice carrying through the partially open door. The market doesn't matter, Stark declared to someone on his phone. We're too big to fail. Double the leverage if you have to. I want that expansion completed. Isaac smiled slightly, remembering his professor's words about hubris preceding a fall. The next day, he sold his apartment. The real estate market was hot, and the property had appreciated nicely. He moved into a small rental closer to the office, investing the difference in carefully selected stock positions. Your first round of purchases is complete, Gerardo confirmed over a secure line. All through separate entities, untraceable back to you. And the other investors? Very interested in your strategy, especially after those quarterly numbers leaked. Gerardo paused. Legitimately leaked, of course, through proper channels. Isaac thought of the documentation Flora had been quietly gathering. Of course, everything by the book. The market's response to Stark's expansion plans proved their strategy. Share prices rose on the announcement, fueled by Sam's reputation and showmanship. But Isaac and his silent partners saw the underlying weakness. He's built a house of cards, Gerardo explained during another late-night strategy session. One strong wind. Timing is everything, Isaac reminded him. We wait for the perfect storm. That storm's first clouds appeared in the society pages. Photos of Sam and Christie's latest excesses, a yacht party, a private jet purchase, a mansion renovation, each one perfectly timed to raise board members' eyebrows. Did you see this? Flora dropped a financial magazine on Isaac's desk. The cover showed Sam and Christie at their new Aspen Lodge, champagne flowing as Stark Industries stock prices crawled across the bottom ticker. Interesting contrast, Isaac noted, watching the numbers tell their own story. The board meeting next week should be enlightening, Flora hinted. Several members have expressed concerns about our leverage ratios. Isaac nodded, already composing his next message to Gerardo. Each piece was falling into place, each move bringing them closer to the endgame. Your latest stock purchase is ready, Gerardo texted that evening. The market's getting nervous about tech sector stability. Execute, Isaac replied. Then he turned back to his shipping reports, maintaining his cover of diligent middle management. Let Stark bask in his perceived invulnerability. Let Christie drain more resources with her demands. The best chess players knew that victory wasn't about a single dramatic move. It was about positioning, patience, and the ability to see 3 moves ahead while your opponent celebrated taking a pawn. In his modest rental apartment, Isaac reviewed his holdings, now spread across dozens of carefully structured investment vehicles. On his wall, a single framed photo hung, the Stark Industries loading dock where he'd started. Not as a reminder of humiliation, but as a testament to the value of understanding systems from the ground up. The society pages might track Sam and Christie's rise, but Isaac was writing a different story, one that would end with a very different kind of headline. The market's first tremors hit on a Tuesday morning. Asian markets plunged overnight, sending shockwaves through the tech sector. Isaac watched from his shipping department office as panic spread through Stark Industries' gleaming headquarters. Emergency board meeting in 30 minutes. Flora's text flashed on his phone. She'd positioned herself in the executive conference room, ostensibly organizing quarterly reports. Isaac maintained his routine, methodically checking shipping manifests while monitoring the chaos unfolding above. Through his office window, he observed executives rushing to the elevator, their usual composed facades cracking. The Shanghai facility's costs have doubled, Barbara from accounting whispered as she passed his desk. Sam's expansion plan is imploding. The stock ticker on his computer showed Stark Industries shares dropping steadily. Not a crash that would be too obvious. Instead, it was the kind of persistent decline that made investors nervous and board members ask uncomfortable questions. His phone buzzed again. Gerardo this time. Margin call starting. Our timing was perfect. In the employee break room, Isaac overheard snippets of worried conversations. The maintenance staff discussed canceled contracts. HR whispered about hiring freezes. Every piece of news confirmed what he and his partners had anticipated. Mr. Lucas? His assistant knocked tentatively. Mr. Stark wants shipping's updated cost projections. Immediately. Of course. Isaac handed over a carefully prepared report, one highlighting exactly how much the Asian expansion had inflated their transportation costs. Through Flora's strategic positioning of security cameras, he watched Sam Stark's reaction to the numbers. The CEO's face reddened as he flipped through pages of undeniable data. His golden touch was failing, and the evidence was mounting. He's pulling money from every department, Clint informed Isaac during their prearranged coffee run. Trying to shore up the expansion. Board members are starting to ask where the reserve funds went. Interesting timing, Isaac commented mildly, especially with those expense reports you archived. Christie's voice echoed down the hallway, her anger carrying through closed doors. What do you mean, we have to cancel the new yacht? We already announced the launching party to everyone. Sam's response was equally loud. Darling, please. It's temporary. Just until we weather this market adjustment. Isaac sent a coded message to Gerardo. Stage 2. Their shell companies began purchasing blocks of devalued stock, each transaction carefully timed and structured to avoid detection. Flora's next update arrived via secure email, detailed documentation of Sam's increasingly desperate financial maneuvers, moving corporate funds to personal accounts, selling company assets at a loss to generate quick cash. Each decision dug the hole deeper. The board's calling for an audit, Clint mentioned casually as they passed in the corridor. Apparently, several major shareholders have expressed concerns about company leadership. Those concerned shareholders were, of course, Isaac's carefully assembled coalition. Each owned just enough stock to demand answers without raising suspicions. The perfect storm intensified when Flora accidentally included certain board members in an email thread documenting Sam's personal use of corporate resources. What's this about a private island? One board member demanded during an emergency session. Charged to research and development? Sam's explanation about corporate retreat facilities fell flat, especially when photos of his and Christie's luxurious weekend parties there surfaced in the business press. Isaac maintained his distance, letting others ask the difficult questions. His shipping department continued running smoothly, a stark contrast to the chaos in executive leadership. The expansion's officially failing, Gerardo confirmed late one evening. Our analysts project another 15% drop by week's end. Time to accelerate our purchases, Isaac decided, but maintain the spread across different entities. The next day, Sam stormed through the office, his usual polished appearance showing cracks. His Italian suit was wrinkled, his hair disheveled. Christie followed, berating him about canceled credit cards and postponed renovations. You promised me security, she shrieked, uncaring of the audience. Now I'm getting calls from contractors about unpaid bills. Keep your voice down, Sam hissed, but the damage was done. Employees exchanged knowing looks. The Emperor's clothes were unraveling. Flora's final piece of evidence arrived that afternoon. Complete documentation of how Sam had leveraged company pension funds for his expansion gamble. The discovery sparked an immediate board investigation. They're calling for his resignation, Clint reported. The pension fund revelation was the last straw. Isaac reviewed his coalition's holdings. Through the market decline, they'd accumulated a significant portion of Stark Industries stock. Each sale during the panic had strengthened their position. Ready for the endgame? Gerardo asked during their secure call. Almost, Isaac replied, watching Sam's Ferrari screech out of the parking lot, pursued by reporters. One more piece needs to fall. That piece arrived in the form of an anonymous whistleblower report to the SEC, detailing years of financial mismanagement and corporate fund abuse. The timing couldn't have been worse for Sam's attempts to maintain control. The board's meeting tomorrow, Flora informed Isaac. They're voting on new leadership. Isaac nodded, finally allowing himself a small smile. Everything had aligned perfectly: the market decline, the failed expansion, the exposed corruption, and his carefully accumulated stock position. Sam Stark had built his empire on appearances and leverage. Isaac had built his victory on patience and precision. Tomorrow would prove which foundation was stronger. In his modest apartment that night, Isaac reviewed the documentation one final time. Every transaction was legal, every move documented. He'd learned from Sam's mistakes, no shortcuts, no traces, no vulnerabilities. The storm had done its work. Tomorrow would begin the aftermath. The morning of the quarterly board meeting dawned clear and cold. Stark Industries' executive floor hummed with tension as board members filed into the conference room, their faces grave with concerns over the company's plummeting stock value. Sam Stark strode in last, Christie at his side. Her designer dress and diamonds seemed garish against the room's somber mood. She claimed that special projects director position through Sam's executive privilege, though her main project seemed to be spending company money. "Let's get this over with," Sam announced, taking his seat at the head of the mahogany table. "I'm sure you've all seen the market reports. Just temporary fluctuations, nothing we can't handle." The board members exchanged skeptical glances. Their portfolios had taken significant hits, and rumors of pension fund mismanagement had reached alarming levels. "Before we begin," Flora Stevens spoke up, her voice carrying decades of financial authority, "we have some additional shareholders joining us today." The double doors opened. Isaac Lucas entered, followed by Clint Hooper and a team of lawyers in pristine suits. The room fell silent. What is he doing here? Christie's face drained of color, her perfectly manicured hands gripping the armrests. "Meeting the new majority shareholder," Flora announced, sliding a thick folder of ownership documents across the table. Sam jumped to his feet, his chair clattering backward. "This is impossible." Actually, Isaac spoke calmly, taking position at the opposite end of the table. "It's been quite possible for the past 6 months. Please, everyone, keep your seats. We have a lot to discuss about the company's new direction." "You can't do this," Sam sputtered, his usual polish cracking. "I own controlling interests." "Not anymore," Clint interrupted, distributing documents to the board members. "Through various investment vehicles and stock purchases during the recent market adjustment, Mr. Lucas and his partners have acquired 52% of outstanding shares." The board members leafed through the papers, their expressions shifting from shock to understanding. The stock purchases were legal, the documentation impeccable. "This is absurd," Christie interjected, her voice shrill. "He's just a shipping supervisor." "A shipping supervisor," Flora noted dryly, "who apparently understands corporate finance better than our current leadership. Would you like to explain the pension fund discrepancies, Sam?" Sam's face reddened. "Those funds were temporarily reallocated for strategic investment." "Misappropriated," Isaac corrected, his voice level. "Along with several other interesting financial maneuvers we've documented." The lawyers began distributing more files. Page after page of evidence. Unauthorized expenses, misused corporate assets, questionable accounting practices. "The Four Seasons penthouse suite," one board member read aloud. "Charged as employee housing? $100,000 in office renovations," another noted, glaring at Christie's designer furniture. "The yacht maintenance alone," a third began. "Enough." Sam slammed his fist on the table. "This is a hostile takeover. I'll fight it in court." "Please do," Isaac replied, nodding to his lawyers. "We have subpoenas prepared for both civil and criminal investigations. I'm sure the SEC will be particularly interested in your creative accounting." The board members whispered among themselves, their loyalty to Sam visibly crumbling as the evidence mounted. "This is how you get your revenge?" Christie sneered, but her voice trembled. "By destroying everything we built?" "No," Isaac answered, looking directly at her. "This is how I save a company from destruction. Your lifestyle was merely a symptom of the disease." The board chairman cleared his throat. "I move we call an immediate vote on corporate leadership." "Seconded," Flora responded promptly. Sam stood, straightening his Italian suit. "You can't possible." "Sit down, Mr. Stark," the chairman ordered. "The board will hear Mr. Lucas's proposal for corporate restructuring." Isaac opened his own folder, revealing detailed plans for company reorganization, cost-cutting measures, and strategic redirection. "My first action as majority shareholder," he began, "will be to appoint a new CEO and board of directors. One focused on sustainable growth, rather than personal enrichment. The vote took less than 15 minutes. Sam and Christy watched in horrified silence as their empire crumbled with each raised hand. "This concludes your employment with Stark Industries," Clint announced, producing termination papers. "Though we'll require you both to remain available for the upcoming audits. You'll regret this," Sam threatened. But his bravado rang hollow. "I have connections." "Had connections," Isaac corrected. "Amazing how quickly they disappear when the money stops flowing." Security waited outside, ready to escort the former CEO and his wife to clear out their offices. As they stood to leave, Isaac spoke one final time. "Oh, and Sam? Consider it a parting gift, though this one might be more valuable than the job you so generously let me keep." The boardroom doors closed behind them, their angry protests fading down the hallway. Isaac took his seat at the head of the table, ready to begin his first official meeting as the company's new controlling shareholder. Now, he addressed the remaining board members. "Let's discuss the future of what will soon be Lucas Global." The transformation of Stark Industries began at dawn. Security teams changed locks while IT specialists revoked executive access codes. By morning, Isaac Lucas occupied the CEO's office, the nameplate already changed. The leather chairs and pretentious artwork that marked Sam's era disappeared, replaced by functional furniture and performance charts. "Your 9 o'clock is here," his new assistant announced through the intercom. "Mrs. Stark, Ms. Stewart, send her in." Isaac reviewed the performance metrics on his tablet, not bothering to look up when Christy stormed in. "You can't do this," she declared, slamming both hands on his desk. Her designer outfit couldn't hide her desperation. "These performance requirements are impossible." Isaac finally raised his eyes. "Every target is based on industry standards. The same standards other executives meet daily." "I'm not some common employee," Christy spat. "I'm Special Projects Director," Isaac finished. "A position that, according to these reports, has generated zero measurable value for the company. Care to explain how you've spent your department's budget?" He turned his monitor, displaying a spreadsheet of her expenses. Each line item highlighted in red. Luxury car services, personal shopping trips classified as client meetings, spa treatments logged as stress management workshops. "Those were legitimate business expenses," she protested. Sam approved. "Sam no longer has that authority. Your new performance contract requires weekly progress reports, documented client interactions, and measurable project outcomes." Christie's face contorted. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Making us grovel?" "This isn't about enjoyment," Isaac replied, pulling out another document. "It's about business. Speaking of which, your first report was due this morning. I was busy dealing with this chaos. That's one missed deadline. 3 more and you'll be in breach of contract." The color drained from her face. "You're setting us up to fail." "No," Isaac corrected. "I'm holding you to the same standards as everyone else. Something you should have considered when accepting a position you weren't qualified for." The door opened again. Sam burst in, his usual polish gone. "These department auditors are interfering with executive operations. Your executive authority has been suspended pending review." Isaac cut him off. "You're now regional sales director, reporting to the VP of sales." "This is ridiculous," Sam sputtered. "I built this company into a liability," Isaac finished. "Your last 3 expansion decisions cost shareholders millions. Now you'll learn how real sales work, starting with meeting actual clients instead of hosting yacht parties." He pressed the intercom. "Send in the compliance team." 3 auditors entered, armed with tablets and stern expressions. "We need to discuss irregularities in your expense reports, Mr. Stark." "We have contracts," Christy tried one last time. "Legal agreement." "Yes," Isaac nodded. "Performance-based contracts that you're currently failing to fulfill. Every late report, every missed target, every long lunch is documented. Keep failing and you'll be in breach." Sam stepped forward, attempted intimidation. "We'll resign. Take our expertise elsewhere." "Section 8.4 of your new contracts," Isaac replied smoothly. "Non-compete clauses covering the entire industry. Breaking them carries substantial financial penalties. Of course, you're welcome to buy out the clauses. Though given your current financial situation, He let the implication hang. Their joint accounts were frozen pending investigation. Credit cards canceled. Assets under review. You can't expect us to live like common workers, Christie protested. I expect you to earn your salaries, Isaac corrected. Starting with clearing up these accounting discrepancies. The auditors have some questions about certain hotel charges. Interesting how many overlapped with your yoga classes. Sam's face darkened. Are you threatening us? Not at all. I'm enforcing corporate policy. The same policy you created, actually, including the morality clauses regarding workplace relationships. The auditors stepped forward, opening their files. If you'll follow us, we have several hours of questions about these transactions. You'll regret this, Christie hissed as security appeared to escort them. Your performance reviews are next week, Isaac replied, already turning to other matters. I suggest focusing on those reports instead of making threats. After they left, Flora entered through a side door. That went well. They'll try to fight back, Isaac noted, reviewing more reports. Let them, Flora smiled. Every attempt will just give us more ammunition. The forensic accountants are finding new irregularities hourly. Make sure everything's documented, Isaac instructed. When they inevitably break contract, I want the termination to be ironclad. He stood, looking out over the city through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The same view Sam had enjoyed while running the company into the ground. But where Sam had seen a playground for his excesses, Isaac saw potential for real growth. The board approved your restructuring plan, Flora reported. Even the old guard members. Amazing how cooperative they became after seeing the pension fund records. People respect results, Isaac replied. And accountability. On his desk, another stack of reports awaited review. Somewhere in the building, Sam and Christie faced their first real workday in years. Their complaints would echo through the corridors, their threats would bounce off legal walls, and their failures would pile up like the evidence against them. But that was their problem now. Isaac had a company to rebuild. Schedule the department head meeting, he instructed his assistant. It's time everyone understood how things work under new management. The shareholders' meeting room buzzed with anticipation. Television crews waited outside, alerted by rumors of major announcements at Lucas Global, formerly Stark Industries. The company's stock had stabilized under Isaac's leadership, but today would determine its future. The SEC findings are ready, Clint murmured, passing Isaac the final report. It's worse than we expected. Isaac reviewed the documents as shareholders filed in. Each page revealed another layer of Sam's mismanagement. Falsified profit reports, hidden losses, personal expenses masked as business investments. The pension fund investigation alone filled 3 volumes. Sam and Christie entered last. Their appearance markedly changed from their glory days. Her roots showed dark against fading blonde, his custom suits replaced by department store offerings. 6 months of actual work requirements had taken their toll. Before we begin, Isaac addressed the packed room. I want to address the rumors about today's announcement. Yes, we've completed our internal audit. Yes, the SEC has been involved. And yes, there will be significant changes in company structure. He nodded to his legal team. They distributed thick folders to each attendee. Page 1 details the systematic abuse of corporate resources under previous management. Page 12 covers the pension fund misappropriation. Page 27 shows the full extent of unauthorized personal expenses. Gasps filled the room as shareholders digested the numbers. Sam shifted uncomfortably while Christie's face reddened. This is a witch hunt. Sam stood, trying to rally support. These so-called findings are verified by 3 independent auditing firms, Isaac cut in, along with your own electronic paper trail. Amazing what people find when they actually check expense reports. He clicked a remote. The projection screen displayed a chart of declining stock values under Sam's leadership, followed by the recovery under new management. But this isn't just about past mistakes. This is about accountability. Flora stepped forward, presenting another set of documents. The board has approved legal action to recover misappropriated funds. The lawsuit will name both Samuel Stark and Christie Stewart Stark as defendants. You can't prove anything, Christie protested, but her voice wavered. Isaac clicked to the next slide. Security footage played. Sam and Christy entering hotel rooms during business hours, using company credit cards at luxury stores, drinking champagne on the corporate jet while claiming business travel. Every expense documented. Every misuse recorded. Your own executive assistants provided sworn statements about falsified reports. The shareholders muttered angrily. Their investments had suffered while the Starks lived lavishly on company funds. This is harassment. Sam tried again. We'll fight. With what resources? Isaac asked quietly. Your assets are frozen pending investigation. Your accounts flagged for suspicious activity. Even your personal credit cards are being reviewed for potential fraud. Clint stood, addressing the shareholders. The total amount misappropriated exceeds $40 million. The company will seek full restitution, including punitive damages. The voting was unanimous. Shareholders, many of whom had once fawned over Sam and Christy at corporate events, now glared as they raised their hands supporting legal action. You've ruined us, Christy spat, mascara smearing as tears fell. No, Isaac corrected. You did that yourselves. I merely exposed it. Security approached as the meeting concluded. Not to remove them, that would come later, but to ensure they didn't leave before signing the final documents. Your resignation letters are prepared, Clint informed them, along with agreements to repay all misappropriated funds. Sign now, or face criminal charges. Their signatures wavered on the pages. The mighty Starks, reduced to facing the consequences of their actions. Outside, reporters waited. The headlines would be brutal. Stark Industries scandal exposed, corporate power couple falls, luxury lifestyle built on stolen funds. The transaction is complete. Flora confirmed as the Starks were escorted out. Their company assets, properties, and remaining accounts transferred to the settlement fund. Isaac watched through his office window as Sam and Christy emerged into a sea of cameras. Their designer clothes, likely their last, couldn't hide their defeat. No more mansion, no more yacht, no more private jet. Just mounting legal bills and the wreckage of their reputation. The board ratified the company name change, Clint reported. Lucas Global is now official. Workers were already replacing logos throughout the building. The Stark era ended not with a bang, but with the quiet signing of legal documents and the flash of news cameras. Their new apartment leases signed, Flora added with a slight smile. 2-bedroom, unfurnished. In the same complex where they once mocked your lifestyle, Isaac turned back to his desk, where the day's real work waited. The company's future mattered more than watching his predecessors fall. But he kept the newspaper article about their downfall, not displayed proudly like Sam would have, but tucked away as a reminder. Success built on deception never lasts. Real power comes from creating value, not destroying it. The intercom buzzed. His next appointment waited. Investors interested in legitimate expansion opportunities. Time to build something lasting from the ruins of Stark's paper empire. After all, he reflected, watching Sam and Christie's taxi disappear into traffic, the best revenge wasn't just success. It was success achieved by embodying everything your enemies thought didn't matter. Integrity, diligence, and the patience to build something real. 10 years had transformed Manhattan's skyline. The Lucas Global Tower dominated the business district, its sleek glass exterior reflecting the morning sun. Inside the top-floor office, Isaac Lucas reviewed acquisition reports with the same methodical attention he'd once given to shipping manifests. The European merger's complete, Flora announced, her silver hair elegant against her tailored suit. Though officially retired as CFO, she remained a key board member and trusted advisor. We've absorbed the last of Stark's former holdings. Isaac nodded, studying the market projections. Lucas Global had grown exponentially, absorbing competitors and expanding into new markets. The shipping department where he'd started was now just one division in a vast corporate empire. Speaking of Stark, Clint interjected, entering with his morning briefcase. Now general counsel, he'd helped engineer Lucas Global's meteoric rise. You might find this interesting. He placed a local newspaper on Isaac's desk. The small article, buried in the back pages, detailed Sam Stark's latest failed venture. After the bankruptcy and legal settlement stripped their assets, Sam had attempted several business comebacks. Each ended in failure, his reputation too tarnished for investors to trust. He's working as a sales consultant for a mid-level firm in New Jersey, Clint reported. Cold calling potential clients. Quite a fall from private jets and yacht parties. And Christy? Isaac asked, his voice neutral. Flora pulled up a social media page on her tablet. 3 divorces since Sam. Each husband progressively less wealthy. She's selling real estate in Connecticut now, struggling to maintain even a middle-class lifestyle. The photos showed Christie's attempts to maintain her former glamour. Discount designer knockoffs replaced her couture wardrobe. Her once perfect hair now showed obvious home coloring. The desperation in her smile was evident even through heavy filters. They tried approaching some of our board members last month, Clint added, looking for investment in some guaranteed opportunity. No one would even take their calls. Isaac turned to the window, observing his reflection in the glass. Time had added distinguished gray at his temples, but his eyes retained their sharp focus. His custom suits now came from the same tailors who once served Sam, but he wore success differently, like a well-earned tool rather than a flashy costume. Mr. Lucas, his assistant's voice came through the intercom. The Yale Business School students are here for your guest lecture. Send them up to the conference room, he replied. Teaching had become one of his unexpected pleasures, showing future business leaders the value of patience, strategy, and ethical leadership. Marco, now Global Logistics Director, passed the students in the hallway. From warehouse worker to executive, his rise exemplified Isaac's leadership philosophy, recognizing and rewarding genuine talent. Remember that first night? Marco smiled, joining them. When you stayed late counting inventory. Who could have guessed where it would lead? The conference room filled with eager MBA candidates. They'd studied Lucas Global's transformation as a business school case study. From shipping to empire, the Lucas Global strategy was required reading at top universities. Your latest Charity Foundation report. Flora handed Isaac another folder. The Lucas Foundation, focused on education and ethical business practices, had become a major force in corporate philanthropy. Isaac scanned the document. The foundation had just funded another scholarship program for underprivileged business students. Success, he discovered, tasted sweeter when shared purposefully. Meanwhile, across town in a cramped real estate office, Christy Stewart, she'd reverted to her maiden name, stared at another rejected loan application. Her desk displayed cheap motivational posters instead of luxury vacation photos. Her phone rarely rang except for collection agencies. Miss Stewart, her manager appeared, frowning. You missed your sales quota again this quarter. The warning was clear in his voice. She'd already been forced out of 3 other agencies. Her famous name, once an asset, now closed more doors than it opened. In New Jersey, Sam Stark sat in his cubicle, cold calling potential clients. His sales script, written by managers half his age, felt like ashes in his mouth. The office coffee came in styrofoam cups instead of Italian espresso. His colleagues neither knew nor cared about his former glory. Mr. Stark? His supervisor's voice carried across the cubicle farm. You need to improve your numbers, or we'll have to discuss your position. He'd heard those words before, at 6 different companies. His business contacts had evaporated along with his wealth. Former friends ignored his calls. Country clubs rejected his applications. Even his membership in the society circles he'd once dominated had been revoked. Back at Lucas Global, Isaac prepared for his lecture. The students waited eagerly, notebooks open. They'd read about the company's transformation, but hearing it from the architect himself was different. Success, he began, his voice carrying the authority of experience, isn't about quick victories or inherited privilege. It's about understanding systems, recognizing opportunities, and having the patience to build something sustainable. Flora and Clint exchanged knowing smiles. They'd witnessed every step of that philosophy in action. You've studied our company's growth, Isaac continued, but numbers only tell part of the story. Real success isn't measured just in stock prices or market share. It's measured in the value you create for your employees, your community, and your industry. He clicked to a slide showing Lucas Global's first shipping department. Everyone expected me to gut this division when I took over. Instead, we invested in it, modernized it, promoted from within. Today, it's one of our most profitable units, led by people who started on the loading dock. The students scribbled notes furiously. This was the kind of success they dreamed of, not just wealth, but lasting impact. In Connecticut, Christy watched Lucas Global's stock prices climb on her office computer. Each increase twisted something inside her. She traded substance for flash, loyalty for luxury. Now she lived in a rented one-bedroom apartment, her designer dreams replaced by discount store realities. Her phone buzzed, another debt collector. The lifestyle she betrayed her marriage for had left her with nothing but credit card bills and regret. Sam's situation wasn't much better. His apartment's wall held only one reminder of his past, a single photo from his CEO days. But instead of inspiring him, it mocked his fall. His Italian leather shoes were replaced by department store clearance. His executive lunch meetings became solitary sandwiches at his desk. He tried writing a memoir, positioning himself as a victim of corporate takeover. Publishers rejected it as too bitter and lacking insight. His attempts to start consulting firms failed when background checks revealed his history. At day's end, Isaac left his office, nodding to the cleaning staff, who received full benefits and educational opportunities under his leadership. The security guard, working his way through college on Lucas Global's employee scholarship program, smiled in greeting. The foundation event is confirmed for Saturday, his assistant reminded him. Children's Hospital Wing dedication. Isaac smiled. The new medical facility would serve families regardless of their ability to pay. Real power, he'd learned, lay not in displaying wealth, but in using it to create positive change. Gerardo Brandt, still handling some of Lucas Global's international investments, had remarked once, "You didn't just beat them, you rendered them irrelevant." It was true. Sam and Christie's downfall wasn't just financial, it was existential. They'd become cautionary tales, their names synonymous with the dangers of arrogance and betrayal. In his car, Isaac found the morning's newspaper. Below Lucas Global's latest stock surge, a small classified ad caught his eye. Experienced executive seeking opportunities. Former CEO. Contact S. Stark. No one would call. Sam's reputation ensured that. The city lights reflected off Lucas Tower as Isaac drove home. Not to a mansion or penthouse, but to a comfortable Upper East Side brownstone. Success hadn't changed his fundamental nature, just given him more resources to effect positive change. Flora often said he'd built something Sam never could, a legacy based on substance rather than appearance. Clint joked that the best revenge was living well and watching others live poorly. But Isaac knew the truth. The real victory wasn't in their downfall, but in proving that success built on integrity would always outlast empires built on ego. That night, as Sam ate microwave dinner in his efficiency apartment and Christy scrolled through photos of her lost luxury on social media, Isaac reviewed applications for the Lucas Foundation's next scholarship round. Each candidate represented a chance to nurture the kind of business leadership he believed in. 10 years had proven his philosophy: patience over impulse, substance over show, strategy over spite. He built something lasting while they'd lost everything chasing appearances. The intercom buzzed. Tomorrow's schedule needed review. Another day of building, growing, improving. After all, Isaac reflected, closing the scholarship files, true success wasn't just about winning. It was about winning so completely that your opponents became footnotes in your story rather than chapters. And in that, he'd succeeded beyond measure. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.